Okay, on today's video, we're going to talk about reviews. Could be Google reviews, Yelp reviews, any kind of reviews. If you want to call it another way, your testimonials. More specifically, we're talking about testimonials. Even though review and testimonial are kind of interchangeable words, but I'm going to talk about the reviews / testimonials that your customers / clients give you, how that can go to increasing your sales by, we're not talking, 10 or 20 percentage points. We're talking about upwards of doubling to tripling your sales if you use them in the right way. What the strategies actually are, no actual just fluff ideas here. Actionable information, how you're going to take those reviews you already got anyway and use those to increase your sales, something you can do basically right now, or you could have done in the next few days, realistically. So I'm going to go through a few different examples of different stuff that I've done here at the Guarantee PPC firm that I run for different clients. So with those few different examples, you can understand more clearly how these things will actually be done for your company specifically. So when you walk away from the video, you know how to execute them and what kind of results that you can see from the actual individual strategies, because there are several things you can do with reviews that a lot of people don't know of. They just wouldn't have the knowledge of somebody who hasn't managed PPC campaigns for lots of people, and then coinciding with that, the reviews have way more of an impact on your results. That is, if you utilize them fully or correctly to your advantage than most people think. So I'm going to explain how do you actually get the full benefit or effect of your reviews that you're getting. If you got good reviews, you need to show them and show them in several precise ways that I'm going to describe in this video. So anyway, before we get started, I just want to mention kind of the obvious here. Reviews are hard to get, so why are you not using them to your fullest advantage possible? It takes a heck of a lot of effort to rack up a bunch of reviews. We all know it. Some industries it's almost impossible. Some it's obviously a little bit easier depending on what you're in. But no matter what, you're spending all this time and effort to get a darn review. Why are you not using that review and literally shoving it in front of every single person you can that hasn't done business with you yet and hasn't already sold your amazing services in order to get the people that can do business with you or are prospecting potentially to do business with you at the highest possible rate you can. There are several ways that you can do this. And so I'll go through what each one of those ways are now. The ways that I use the reviews for our clients, because ultimately I run a PPC firm here. Unlike a lot of PPC firms, I manage the PPC campaigns and the landing pages together. Because really, if you're going to do PPC, as if you watched many of my videos, I mentioned 50 to 70% of the equation, whether or not you get results on PPC, comes down to that where you're taking them to on the site. If you don't have a good experience on site, that PPC campaign's literally worthless because the ads have a cost and you have to generate so many sales for the ROI to be there after all expenses and have money left over. And when you're dealing with people that, you're not in a vacuum here. You're dealing with other people who are they know what PPC is now. You got to be able to do at least as good as them and the ones that are actually making money to expect all this to work. So anyway, I manage both ends, and when you manage both ends, I actually try to use the testimonials that the client has because I know how much of an effect that they have on both landing page and ad, both, because they can be used on both ends. And so from start to finish, from the time that somebody initially is going to consider the client that I have and the time that they're actually plunking down the check, I'm using it as many times as I possibly can because that's what's going to get you as many sales as possible out of the money and the people that you have, that you're ultimately getting in front of with your PPC ads, so that it just makes my life easier delivering good results to that client. I've got to do that to keep the client. And this is stuff that you could just do for yourself just to get more out of your own PPC campaigns. So anyway, again, ways that I use the review. So the first one I just want to talk about is on the landing pages themselves, as I gave you the prelude about me managing the landing pages, on a standard landing page, if you look at on our site, the different landing page examples that I have, this is giving away the secrets here. You'll see this on other people's landing pages if you really pay attention to look around. There's a thing called, and when you're making website design, particularly when you're talking about landing pages too, about above the fold. This is an old term that used to be used in the newspaper industry, where the newspaper, before you unfolded it, whatever was shown there on the above the fold was the most important out of anything, because that's what's, they're laying there in a pile, that's what's getting seen first. And if you're going to open the paper, whatever's on there has to sell you. So they always put all their effort and attention in the headlines on that above the fold. On a landing page, it's the same thing. It's different how it's executed, but when you get to a landing page, before you scroll down with your mouse at all, you got to be able to get most of everything that you need to get that person's attention before they scroll, or you're already lost before you begin. Doesn't matter if you're offering 24K, gold bars down at the bottom of the page. They're not going to see it if you don't convince them up top. So anyway, how this all comes into play is you got your landing page here. Before you scroll, everything that you could see before you scroll is right here. You need to have your landing pages above that. And the best place I've found technically to put them, just to help you out, if you want to like a gimme here, is just right before you scroll. So you have your headline here that says what you're doing. Got a sub-headline that reinforces the value proposition of what you have and maybe why it's different, or some special offer that you have, a call to action directly underneath that. Then you have your reviews directly underneath that. If you use that formula and you actually have good reviews, it'll lift your sales by a good 100% versus having no reviews on the landing page at all. And if you're going to put them, that's the best place I found to put them. Now, you're going to have all your reviews actually if you want that 100%. So in other words, to get the 100% from you don't have your reviews listed now to having them listed, if you list them in the way that I say, I almost guarantee you'll get the 100% or more even. Before you scroll, Google, Yelp, or Angie's List, or whatever is in your industry, just the top ones that are appropriate to your industry, basically. Obviously, if you have crap reviews on one, don't use that, okay? But that way, they can see, because ultimately people don't realize, you got to put yourself in the user's shoes. Why are they buying from you versus somebody else? It's too easy to click back to Google and click on something else. You got to capture their attention right away. They got to know that you do what they want, one, that's number one. And then two, do they trust you? And having a good high quality logo will go into that, but also will the review. So those are the two things that's going to be able to get that communicated instantly to them, so that you got them hooked in. Now they're going to go into the other part of the page and you got a chance. But you got to you got to do that stuff first or you don't have a chance. So anyway, the reviews is with the stars next to it and the rating, that's everybody knows what that is inherently. There's no explanation involved. That's why it works so well. Anyway, I have that all listed there, and I'll link back to the actual reviews so they know I'm not bullshitting them, because there's so many people got fake reviews out there. People know it. They don't trust it. People say they use reviews to make purchase decisions, but they also don't trust them. So they don't use them as much as you think they do. They may look, but at the end of the day, if they trust the company, they overlook it. If they don't trust the company, one bad review, oh, I'm not buying it. But anyway, you link back to the reviews, and that's how you fully take advantage of them. And yes, that kind of defeats the purpose of some people say, oh, the point of a landing page is to make them stay on the landing page. I can assure you, if you don't have the trust, it doesn't matter. It's just like if you're a pushy salesman. If somebody feels like they're being pushed into a corner, they're just going to panic. Let them think they're making their own decision. Good. The best salesman can make you think you're making your own choice for yourself. If you could go see the reviews, not many will, 5% of the people or 10% of the people will click on that. They'll go see it and go, yeah, I do trust them. And then you got those people. But if you don't, then they're going to be, those super skeptical people, then you won't get them. So you're losing 10% of your sales for what? So whereas the other 90%, they're not going to leave anyway, so therefore that's why you're going to get a boost from that versus being docked. So anyway, that's the first way that you could use the testimonials that you have to increase your sales. Number 2, dedicated review pages. So the best way that you can do your reviews that you have, or testimonials if you want to say that, if you don't have like a local service or something like that, you have lots of products on your site, which then it makes it a little bit difficult to use one set of reviews for everything. There's 2 ways to execute that. You could do it at the bottom of the page and have all your reviews listed there. Some people do that. And if you've got at least 10 reviews or thereof for that individual product, I'm just going to list them, right when you scroll below the fold. I'm going to have something there where I can click to see all the reviews right away. And then beyond that, at the bottom of the page, I'm just going to list them in all long form, all of them outright at the bottom of the page anyway. If they get all the way to the bottom of the page, they're looking for you to convince them, and then you should have them all there anyway. But what the problem is, a lot of people don't have that many reviews. Going back to what we were talking about before, it's so hard to get them. Here's a cool workaround that a lot of people don't think of that I know works. So here's another little secret. If you're in that situation, above the fold, leave a little thing that says there that you have, 35 reviews and little stars again, because again, psychologically, people know what the stars and the reviews look like. So a lot of people will just trust it anyway, and they'll think that product itself has 35 reviews. So this is a little bit of, you're playing a little bit of a mind trick on people, but respectively, you're telling them the truth still. If they come to the wrong conclusions, that's up to them. But then you can make the review image, if you will, clickable. And it should also say, click here to read reviews, and then you direct them to another page that has the reviews on it. And on that page, it's called, I don't know what it's called today, but anchor points. It used to be with old HTML, and I used to program websites. If you had an anchor point, you'd have a link, and when you click on it, it would go directly down to the part of the page that was relevant to that particular link. So in other words, when somebody clicks the review button of see all reviews for that product page and where it says see all reviews at above the fold, you take people to the review page, and then it automatically scrolls down to the part where you actually have the reviews for that particular product. But then you could basically automatically scroll and see other reviews for other products. So the idea is that if you have a private label product, that overall, okay, I see that you don't have 35 reviews, but I see that you have other reviews for other products and they're all good. So therefore, I'm going to conclude here that if there were 35 people that reviewed this particular product, they would have reviewed it all about the same. So that's what I do for quite a few other companies, and that's what I recommend you do that as well if you don't have a lot of reviews for each product. I see a lot of people out there, they don't have a lot of reviews for each product, and they're just like leaving it, reviews, 0. Well, you're going to lose good 50% to 100% of your sales by not having any reviews. If you have all the reviews, you'll have a 100% bump. If you have to send them people to the workaround I mentioned where you send them to an individual different page and then you scroll down and show them the few reviews you have for that product, or if you have 0 reviews for that product, you just send them to the page with all the reviews for all the other different products you have, you can get another 50% or half of that on top of the numbers you're already getting, because it's a hell of a lot better than saying reviews, 0, like, because you have a part of your template. Then you're just like, okay, you obviously haven't sold any of these products, when really we know it's hard to get reviews, but the individual non-business men or women don't know that. So you could sit here and try to rationalize why there's no reviews, or you could use my workaround and get another 50%, okay? So anyway, there's another little trick or tip. Number 3, PPC remarketing campaigns. So a lot of people, they don't realize, so the biggest thing, so obviously people know that initially to contact you, reviews are helpful. And then a lot of times right before somebody makes a purchase, they'll look at reviews. For me, I'm not going to leave that up to, I'm not going to let the consumer ultimately decide to do that on their own. You know, a lot of times they'll not look at the reviews, some will, but if everybody saw your reviews, you would get more sales. That's why this other stuff works. So remarketing, you know, the advertising that's dedicated to when somebody goes to your site, now you can remarket, have other banner ads show up for them on other websites that usually people think is pretty annoying, and just ask people to buy over and over again stupidly. You could have your testimonials show up on those ads. And I actually got it set up for our firm, and I've done this many, many other times, where one day after you've been to this particular site, you know they're in market for this product, that they wouldn't have never been there in the first place coming from a Google search campaign that we're running, that you see a testimonial or think, or you may not pay attention to it, and the next couple days you do see it. Then the next day after that, you see another testimonial, and then another, and another. And if you got enough testimonials to have one up to 10 for each product, you can actually set up a stream of remarketing ads that show the testimonials for that product to the person who was just interested in that product, which is going to get you the maximum benefit. But the great thing about the whole remarketing thing is it can rotate out the ad. So if I have 10 testimonials and I have 10 ads, I can show one, and then the next day it's another one, and the next day it's another one, and the next day it's another one, and to the point where you're literally brainwashing that user to you're programming the user to understand that the product is good. Repetition creates reality for people, and this is psychology 101. It's the reason why if somebody hears something on their news a bunch of times, and then you you find out otherwise, that what they're saying is not true, you try to tell that person, they're never going to believe you, because people believe what everybody else believes. So these remarketing ads, when you're constantly regurgitating the whole same thing, and you're doing it in the way that I described, where you've got many reviews showing up, or you got reviews for other products showing up, right? But it has half the kind of effect as having reviews for that individual product showing up. You're making it so that if this person later on is going to check the review before they buy, the first thing they're going to think of is you're automatically the person that's best reviewed anyway, whether you got the highest ratings or not. So instead of leaving it up to chance, why not get out ahead of it and have the person automatically think that you're the best, so they even have to look necessarily, which they won't. And even if they do look, it's still going to be so ingrained in their head, they'll probably overlook anything that they see from anybody else anyway, because you put that prep work in. It's the same thing why politicians at election time have the signs everywhere. If you're wondering why they do that, they're literally brainwashing you. They're repeating their name so many times that it's programmed in your mind, this is the person that's most relevant and the authoritative person to use. You're doing the same thing with your remarketing. The testimonials is the best thing you could put in those ads to convince the buyer. And so that's just an easy thing that people can do, and basically nobody does. If you do that and none of your competition do, which almost everybody watching this video is not going to have competition doing that, you end up with the benefit of the programming that you can do with these remarketing ads and get the benefit of another 50% on top of whatever your campaigns that you spent to get them to your page in the first place is going to get. You spend $10 to get somebody to the site, or $1 or whatever, and then you don't do any follow-up. It costs a penny to have an ad show up for somebody after they leave your site. So why not invest another 10% of your ad budget in the follow-up, and get another 50% on top of the ROI that you would get? That's just good business here. So you get the general gist, and something that works every single time. So another easy thing for you to use. Then the last thing I want to talk about is about on your search campaign ad. So a lot of people don't think about this, or they think about this the least, I would say. Well, it's debatable between 3 and 4. On your search campaign ads on Google, if you're running them, I've had many times where 5-star ratings on Yelp, or 5-star ratings on Google, or whatever, right there on the ad. And that had doubled the click-through rates. Why? Because in a lot of different markets, especially local service markets, people they have no differentiation point to know what plumber is different than another. They don't know crap about it. They go by the reviews. So if you have the reviews up on the ad, which one are you going to click on? If you have an average ad, we'll just say you switch to that, a lot of times it will double the click-through rate. And what happens when you double the click-through rate? Well, because of Google's quality score system, now you're paying half the cost per click. So now you got double the clicks coming in from the keywords that were well producing, and that you just wanted to get more from it because that means more profit. Now you're paying half as much for those clicks. Not to mention, now those people have more reason to not click back and go to somebody else because you've done the narrowing down for them and your conversion rate's higher. So you could talk about huge gains from this. Upwards in the 150% range when you add in all those individual factors. If you're a company that sells lots of different things, then I don't recommend necessarily just leaning on the 5-star ratings on Yelp or Google or whatever there, or your own industry review site that you have that people know in that space or whatever that would be already familiar with that. Otherwise, go with one that most people would be most familiar with there, just for a kind of for the starting point, if you will, to go with this. But you're going to take the individual reviews for that product or service that they're interested in. So if I'm looking for Johnson, washers, it was just say I just came up with a random product. Maybe I sell a bunch of different hardware fittings and stuff, but I'm interested in the washers. And I'm going to say Johnson washers have a 4.9 rating on blah blah blah. Now that's going to be a lot more relevant than Lloyd's hardware fasteners 5-star rating on Yelp, right? We don't give a crap what the store's rating is. Respectively, probably we're thinking everybody has a good rating because it's not hard to deliver a good experience when you're selling washers and crap like that. Nothing against anybody that sells that kind of stuff, but you want to then at that point see what is the review of the product itself, and that's the more relevant thing to you. And so in that case where you sell a bunch of different stuff, in order to get this 150% gain, you're going to have to do more work. You're going to have to do the rating of the product in the ad for when people search for that individual category of product, that it's on there and it's relevant to them. So for you guys that do that, you have to do a little bit more, but the gains are still the same. But you get the general idea here. And if you don't have any other way to increase your click-through rate on your ads, this is like a quick gimme. Put your reviews in it, or what the product itself reviews are, and if you have it, take advantage of it. But that's in general my kind of speech about testimonial/reviews, how you can use those to your advantage to get more sales out of your PPC campaigns or any other traffic that you're really driving. If you like my video, I have a ton of other videos like this on this channel about other PPC strategies, money-making PPC strategies that you can check out. I have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog, which has step-by-step instructions on how to build campaigns related to this kind of stuff. If you're looking for information along those general lines, it's there. And if you have any questions or comments, leave me a comment down below. I get back to every single person that leaves me a comment on this channel. But beyond that, hope you enjoyed, and hope this will make you some more money as well.